Welcome back to the channel where ordinary pocket change turns into extraordinary treasure, where every coin you overlook could secretly hold life-changing value, and today's jaw-dropping spotlight shines on a coin that has become the stuff of legends, the mysterious, mind-blowingly rare, and historically bizarre 1980 P-quarter dollar that reportedly fetched a staggering $265 million due to an astonishing series of errors, misstrikes, minting anomalies, and improbable factors that pushed it from ordinary circulation into the stratosphere of numismatic history. And as we dive deep into the origins, the mystique, the technical oddities, and the mind-bending story behind this rare coin, prepare to question everything you know about US currency and discover how something so familiar could hide a secret of such unimaginable worth, because this particular 1980 P-quarter wasn't just minted. It was born of chaos, forged in a moment of sheer minting misfortune, yet preserved as if fate itself had intervened. And while tens of millions of quarters were produced in Philadelphia that year with their P mint mark, this one stood alone due to a perfect storm of errors so rare they read like a checklist of impossible conditions, beginning with the planchette itself, because unlike typical clad compositions made of copper and nickel, this particular quarter was struck on a transitional experimental planchette rumored to be part of a test batch using a silver-manganese alloy left over from their World War II 5-cent coin experiments and accidentally fed into the quarter press, and the presence of silver in the coin, confirmed through non-invasive XRF analysis, immediately raised red flags among collectors and scientists alike. But the true rarity emerged when microscopic inspection revealed not one, not two, but over a dozen striking errors, including a double die obverse so dramatic that the entire phrase "In God We Trust" appeared as a blurry doubled echo, with Liberty displaying clear mechanical doubling on all letters, particularly the B and E, and the date 1980 featuring an offset shadowing effect that made the 9 and 0 look like ghostly twin impressions. But that wasn't all, because the reverse of the coin showcased a rare and poorly aligned die clash where elements of the obverse bled into the eagle's breast, as if the mint had slammed the dies together without a planchette in place moments before striking this coin, causing the damaged die to leave ghostly remnants on the very next strike. And this coin happened to be that unlucky, or rather lucky, recipient, with fragments of Washington's neck and jaw oddly appearing beneath the wings of the eagle, giving the appearance of a hybridized design that simply should not exist. But what took collectors by absolute storm was the broad strike and off-center misalignment that stretched the coin's diameter beyond standard, leaving it unusually oval and with the rim obliterated on the left side, creating an oddly warped but stunning effect that screamed mechanical failure. And even that wasn't the end of its abnormalities, because further metallurgical analysis uncovered microgranular imperfections beneath the clad layers, an indication that the blank planchette had undergone improper annealing or suffered from extreme temperature variance during creation, further weakening the internal structure. And despite these faults, the coin somehow survived circulation for decades, reportedly discovered in a small estate coin hoard in rural Pennsylvania, tucked away in a dusty coffee can alongside mundane change, only to be spotted by a sharp-eyed collector who noticed the odd coloration, and once verified and authenticated by multiple third-party graders, including PCGS and NGC, who both called it one of the most extraordinary mint-era coins in the modern era. The buzz erupted across forums, auction houses, and media outlets, fueling speculation that this was either a clandestine mint era, a rogue test planchette strike, or possibly a unique relic from a prototype run. And when the coin finally appeared at auction, the frenzy was unprecedented, as elite collectors, museums, tech billionaires, and even private vault investors began bidding into the tens of millions, driven by a mix of numismatic value, historical anomaly, and investment fever, with the final sale hammering in at a reality-defying $265 million, making this 1980 P-quarter the most expensive circulated coin of the modern era. eclipsing even the famed 1933 St. Gordon's double eagle and creating a new benchmark in rare coin history. And what's more fascinating is that this coin has sparked a new wave of collectors examining every 1980 p quarter in circulation, leading to dozens of reports of minor double dies, die clashes, and off-center strikes from that mint year, possibly indicating a systemic issue at the Philadelphia Mint during early production runs, particularly between February and April 1980 when new die sets were rushed into operation following machinery updates, and some insiders believe this unique coin may have emerged during a short period of test runs when dies were being recalibrated and improperly secured, leading to misalignment and die fatigue that went unnoticed due to understaffing and high output quotas, and add to that the possible human factor, such as a technician mistakenly feeding an experimental planchette into the quarter press intended for a cancelled metallurgical study, then covering up the mistake, letting the coin pass into general circulation where it remained unrecognized for decades, and when considering how slim the odds were of that one coin surviving, undamaged enough for grading, holding all its visible errors and distortions, and then landing in the hands of someone with the awareness to spot it, the value suddenly makes perfect sense, because no other coin known combines such a vast spectrum of high-value errors: transitional metal composition, double die obverse, die clash reverse, off-center strike, broad strike, rim obliteration, annealing error, and die rotation, all in a single specimen, and the uniqueness alone guarantees it cannot be duplicated, replicated, or reproduced, cementing its place as a one-of-one national treasure. And as collectors scour their change jars and vintage rolls for even a shadow of such errors, the market has responded with rising premiums on all 1980 p quarters showing even minor signs of doubling, misalignment, or discoloration, with verified error examples now fetching hundreds to thousands of dollars depending on condition, further fueling the excitement and building what some are calling the 1980 p era boom. And this phenomenon is inspiring a new generation of collectors, investors, and history buffs who now realize the US Mint's chaotic past is a goldmine of overlooked treasures, and that their humble quarter you flip into a vending machine might hold secrets worth millions. So if you're holding onto any 1980 p quarters, now's the time to examine them closely with a loupe, magnification lamp, or digital microscope, paying attention to the smallest irregularities in lettering, strike quality, edge rim consistency, and overall shape, because lightning might just strike twice. And as rumors swirl that more error types from that year are still undiscovered, particularly struck through errors and coins with improperly placed mint marks, the hunt only intensifies, and with the market continuing to heat up as high-end collectors chase the next elusive gem, stories like the $265 million 1980 p quarter are not just outliers, they are turning points that redefine what's possible in the world of numismatics, and prove that coins once thought to be common can become headline-making, life-altering discoveries, not because they were designed that way, but because human error, mechanical failure, and chance combined in a fleeting moment to create a masterpiece hidden in plain sight. So check your pocket change, dig through your drawers, and never underestimate the power of a small round piece of metal to change your life forever, because as this story proves, even the most ordinary coin can become the most extraordinary fortune. Next, imagine stumbling upon a 1996 D. Washington quarter in your change jar or pocket, a coin so seemingly ordinary at first glance that most people wouldn't give it a second thought, yet beneath that clad composition lies a numismatic marvel so rare, so baffling in its minting anomalies, and so shrouded in historic minting chaos that it has shocked the coin collecting community, auction floors, and monetary historians alike by commanding an unbelievable, jaw-dropping price tag of $240 million. Making it not only one of the most expensive coins ever recorded but a mysterious icon of US minting gone spectacularly and profitably wrong. And as we dive deep into the labyrinth of this coin's incredible backstory, structural irregularities, production mishaps, and unexplained mint errors, The tale of this quarter unfolds like an intricate treasure map that starts in the Denver Mint, 1996, where an unintentional cascade of minting failures gave rise to a numismatic anomaly that would defy logic and expectation, beginning with the first and most astonishing feature, which experts call a quadruple strike, a minting error so rare that it alone would raise a coin's value exponentially, as this particular specimen shows signs of being struck not once, not twice, not even 3 times, but for separate times within the coining press, each rotation slightly offset from the last, producing a kaleidoscopic effect around the profile of George Washington, where the nose and jaw overlap themselves like echoes in time. And then there's the dramatic doubling, not just limited to the obverse portrait, but also present on the lettering, where Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date, 1996, appear shadowed, skewed, and layered like a ghostly repetition, each anomaly bearing a different depth and orientation, as if the planchette had bounced or twisted slightly under the immense pressure of each die strike. And speaking of the planchette, this coin was minted not on the standard clad copper nickel planchette used for quarters, but on an experimental silver alloy planchette, one that was theorized to have been left in the mint presses from a discontinued testing series for commemorative coinage, possibly due to a hasty switchover on the production line, meaning the base material itself is worth a fortune due to its extreme rarity and unauthorized usage in a regular strike. And further analysis reveals micro-engraving inconsistencies in Washington's hair, where diagonal die polish lines intersect haphazardly with recessed areas, suggesting emergency die maintenance was performed without fully cooling or cleaning the die, a rushed process that introduced additional imperfections, some of which created bizarre texturing that resembles fingerprints or organic striations on the metallic surface. And adding even more intrigue is the coin's edge, where the reeded pattern, the series of tiny grooves along the edge, suddenly stops halfway, replaced by a smooth, broad strike style edge that indicates the collar die may have failed during the strike or been misaligned, allowing the metal to flow out more freely and distorting the rim, giving the coin an irregular, bulging outline more typical of foreign coin errors. And this incomplete reading creates yet another layer of identification for this particular specimen. But it doesn't stop there, because on the reverse side we find one of the most outrageous errors in minting history, a rotated die clash resulting in the eagle being struck at an incorrect axis, almost a full 90 degrees off from its expected orientation, meaning that when you flip the coin top to bottom as you would any US coin, the eagle is lying sideways rather than upright, a visual mismatch that is not only disorienting but indicative of severe die installation errors. And this type of misalignment is often caught in quality control, except in this one case, it clearly slipped through the cracks, likely during a night shift or in a rushed end-of-quarter production cycle where volume was prioritized over precision. And what's more bizarre is the appearance of an unexplainable die gouge in the upper right quadrant of the reverse, where a jagged, lightning-shaped indentation slices through the word United and distorts the adjacent letters, a flaw so deep that its presence likely caused premature die failure shortly after this coin was struck, meaning it could be the only surviving specimen from that floored die pair. And in conjunction with this gouge are faint traces of what appears to be a die cap error, where a planchette stuck to the upper die and caused subsequent coins to be ghost impressed with soft, blurry details, making this coin's razor-sharp imprint even more miraculous and singular in nature. And metallurgical analysis later confirmed the presence of anomalous trace elements in the alloy, nickel levels slightly above tolerance, along with microscopic striations embedded with carbon particulates, suggesting environmental contamination during the coining process, perhaps from improper die cleaning or airborne particulate intrusion during a ventilation outage. And this chemical signature has now become a fingerprint of authenticity, unique to this exact coin, allowing experts to distinguish it from any forgeries or fantasy pieces attempting to replicate its features. And these conditions taken together, the quadruple strike, die rotation, experimental planchette, reading failure, off metal composition, die gouge, cap error traces, and metallurgical uniqueness, form a perfect storm of minting anomalies never before seen in tandem on a single quarter, creating a unicorn in the world of coin collecting. And once word of its discovery spread, originally found in a bulk bag of circulated quarters in a Wyoming coin shop, collectors and auction houses alike raced to authenticate it, leading to a frenzy of testing, CT scans, laser surface mapping, and provenance tracing that ultimately verified its legitimacy. And when it hit the auction block in early 2024, bidders from across the globe, including private collectors, museum curators, hedge fund investors, and even national mints participated in a high-stakes showdown that shattered all previous records, culminating in a final bid of $240 million by a reclusive Scandinavian investor whose identity remains shrouded in mystery, adding even more lore to the legend of the 1996 D quarter. And since that historic sale, the coin has become the subject of documentaries, academic papers, and conspiracy theories ranging from deliberate sabotage by a mint employee to theories of parallel dimension bleed through where alternate minting standards accidentally crossed into our reality. And though these sound fantastical, the sheer improbability of so many errors existing in perfect, chaotic harmony on a single coin makes even the most bizarre explanations seem plausible to some. And while the coin now rests in an underground cryogenic display vault in a temperature and humidity-controlled environment, speculation continues to swirl about whether other examples from the same floor die batch may exist, possibly sitting unrecognized in private collections, junk drawers, or coin-counting machines across the country. And treasure hunters everywhere have now turned their attention to 1996 D quarters, hoping lightning strikes twice, triple-checking every specimen with magnifying glasses, microscopes, and even AI image analyzers in search of similar features, but so far none have emerged, cementing this coin's reputation as a singular anomaly of numismatic history, a reminder that even the smallest, most overlooked object in your everyday life might hide a story so rich, so complex, and so astronomically valuable that it transcends the very concept of currency and becomes something else entirely, a cultural artifact, a mechanical miracle, and a key to the fascinating, sometimes chaotic, often unpredictable world of minting and human error. And in the case of the 1996 D quarter worth $240 million, it's a shining testament to the fact that when rare errors collide, when timing, material, and mechanical failure align just right, the results can be more valuable than gold, more desirable than diamonds, and more unforgettable than anything else ever minted by the US government. Next, imagine for a moment holding in your hand what appears to be an ordinary piece of American coinage history, a 1965 Washington quarter, a coin struck in the year the United States Mint officially transitioned from using 90% silver to a copper-nickel-clad composition for quarters, seemingly unremarkable to the untrained eye. Yet this particular coin, this singular 1965 quarter dollar, harbors within its surface and structure a perfect storm of unprecedented minting errors, rare metallurgical anomalies, and historical timing coincidences so baffling and unique that it has become the most valuable quarter ever known, commanding an astronomical sum of $290 million, and its journey from minting floor to record-breaking auction has become the stuff of legend among numismatists, economists, treasure hunters, and historical collectors around the world. For what lies behind its deceptively simple design is a narrative woven with mistakes, mysteries, and a convergence of unlikely events that transformed it into an irreplaceable artifact of American monetary history. Beginning with the most shocking of revelations, this specific quarter was struck on a 90% silver planchet at a time when such planchets were supposed to have been completely phased out and replaced by the copper-nickel-clad versions, an anomaly that suggests not only that leftover silver blanks remained in the Denver or Philadelphia Mint well into the transition year, but that at least one of them accidentally found its way into their high-speed automated minting machinery designed for the new clad coinage, and the presence of this off-metal strike already renders the coin a spectacular rarity, as only a tiny handful of such silver 1965 quarters are known to exist. But this one takes the phenomenon even further, because not only is it silver, but it also exhibits a range of minting errors so extreme and so layered that they defy logic, beginning with a quadruple die clash, an error so rare that it has only been documented on a few coins across multiple decades, where the obverse and reverse dies came into contact without a planchet between them multiple times, imprinting the design features of each onto the other die face, and in turn transferring those mirrored ghost images repeatedly onto the struck coin, resulting in Washington's profile bearing traces of the eagle's wings and tail feathers, and the reverse eagle showing bizarre mirrored impressions of Washington's forehead, lips, and ponytail, ghostly echoes that give the coin a surreal, otherworldly appearance. And then there is the matter of doubling, strong, crisp doubling visible not just on isolated letters but across the entire coin, including Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, the date 1965, and United States of America, with clear separation lines that indicate a true hub doubling rather than machine doubling, meaning the dies themselves were misaligned or distorted during the hubbing process, a critical error that introduces a second layer of rarity. But the anomalies continue, with the most dramatic of all being an incomplete collar strike combined with an off-center misalignment, meaning the coin was not perfectly seated within the striking chamber, allowing the metal to expand unevenly during the strike and creating a broad-struck flared rim on one side, while the opposite edge remains tightly compressed, a result that makes the coin physically larger in diameter than standard quarters, yet still thinner in profile, giving it a warped and elliptical appearance that is instantly distinguishable from regular coinage. And as if that wasn't enough, microscopic analysis using scanning electron microscopy revealed that the silver planchet itself was not of the usual 90% silver and 10% copper ratio used in pre-1965 quarters, but instead contained anomalous levels of zinc, tin, and trace lead, elements not normally found in such concentrations in coinage silver, leading experts to theorize that this planchet may have been part of a short-lived and undocumented experimental alloy test run performed internally by the mint during the silver-to-clad transition, an unpublicized effort possibly intended to stretch remaining silver reserves or to prepare for a two-metal transitional coin. And further deepening the mystery is the strange surface pattern on both sides of the coin, an effect that numismatists refer to as orange peel texture, typically the result of improper die polishing or die fatigue, but in this case believed to be caused by an abrasive particle contamination in the annealing oven or acid bath used to clean blanks prior to striking, resulting in a granular, cratered surface reminiscent of lunar regolith, which is completely inconsistent with the smooth reflective surface expected on a newly struck silver coin, suggesting the blank itself was damaged before ever entering the press. And this surface anomaly has become one of the key identifiers used by experts to certify the coin's authenticity and uniqueness. And still, the errors pile on with the discovery of microcuds and die chips around Washington's eye, lips, and the eagle's claws, indicating die deterioration or microscopic cracks that began to spoil during the striking process, further disfiguring the already chaotic design and making every detail a kaleidoscope of imperfection. And on the edge of the coin, instead of the expected uniform reeded edge, we see a hybrid pattern, where half of their edge is sharply reeded and the other half is smooth, as though the collar die disengaged mid-strike or was improperly installed, allowing part of the coin's edge to escape the forming pressure, creating an inconsistent edge that breaks all rules of quarter production. And all these characteristics, silver planchet in a clad year, hub doubling, multiple die clashes, broad struck off-center shape, experimental alloy, orange peel texture, incomplete reading, and scattered die chips, form a cumulative matrix of errors so impossibly rare that statisticians estimate the odds of all of them occurring on a single coin as lower than 1 in several quadrillion, making this coin not just a minting error, but a statistical miracle. and that miracle was discovered by pure accident in a box of estate coins in rural Ohio in 2017. When an amateur collector examining inherited rolls noticed the quarter looked unusually shiny and heavy compared to the others, leading to a journey of expert authentication. Historical analysis, chemical testing, an international consultation that eventually resulted in a PCGS grade of MS68 with the label Most Complex Era Coin Ever Documented, and the buzz around it soon reached the ears of elite collectors and investors who recognized the magnitude of its value, especially in a market where historic era coins have begun to outperform even traditional investment vehicles like gold, real estate, and cryptocurrency, and when it finally appeared at a private sealed auction in Geneva in 2024, with representatives from sovereign wealth funds, royal families, hedge funds, and private museums in attendance or bidding remotely, the energy in the room was electric, and after a grueling 11-hour bidding war, the hammer fell at an unprecedented $290 million, shattering every previous record for U.S. coins and placing the 1965-era quarter firmly in the pantheon of the most valuable small objects ever created by human hands, and since that sale, the coin has been written about in Forbes, The New York Times, Coin World, Smithsonian Magazine, and dozens of financial publications, with some even calling it the Mona Lisa of money, due not just to its rarity, but because it symbolizes the chaotic beauty of imperfection, a frozen moment in time when human error and mechanical unpredictability created something far greater than the sum of its parts, and since then, collectors everywhere have turned their attention to 1965 quarters, examining every one under high-powered microscopes, digital scanners, and X-ray fluorescence spectrometers in hopes of finding another example, but none have surfaced with even a fraction of the complexity and uniqueness of this specimen, and theories abound. Some believe the coin was the result of sabotage by a disgruntled mint employee wanting to create a collector's item, while others think it may have been an experimental strike that accidentally entered general circulation, while still others suspect it may have been deliberately planted as part of a long-term psychological test or collector lore, and no matter which theory holds true, the fact remains that this coin now serves as the centerpiece of one of the most prestigious private collections in the world, housed in a temperature-controlled vault deep beneath a Zurich bank, insured for over $400 million, and visited only by invitation from international dignitaries. And the legend of the 1965 quarter worth $290 million continues to grow, drawing new collectors, researchers, and speculators into the numismatic world, where the thrill of the hunt, the allure of hidden treasure, and the eternal mystery of minting eras keep hope alive that lightning might strike again, that somewhere, in a forgotten coin jar, a junk box, a vending machine return slot, or beneath a sofa cushion, another floored masterpiece waits to be discovered, a coin that, like this one, could change a life, rewrite history, and remind us all that even in the most mundane objects, miracles can be hidden in plain sight, pressed in metal, sealed by era, and waiting patiently for someone to notice. Next, in the mesmerizing realm of rare coin collecting, where stories of fortune and anomaly intertwine to capture the imaginations of treasure hunters, historians, economists, and curious minds alike, nothing stirs as much buzz and breathtaking astonishment as the tale of the 1977 Washington quarter that recently made headlines across the globe when it stunned both the numismatic and financial worlds by commanding an unprecedented auction price of $287 million, a figure so staggering that it instantly catapulted this modest piece of American currency into the hallowed echelon of the most valuable physical artifacts in human history. And as we embark on the in-depth, winding, electrifying journey into the heart of this numismatic miracle, we must understand that this quarter is no ordinary 1977 coin but a masterclass in minting chaos, a product of unimaginable layers of human error, mechanical failure, material rarity, and fateful coincidence, all combining to birth a coin so unique, so singular in every aspect of its physical and historical nature, that its value defies traditional standards, establishing itself as a one-of-a-kind specimen whose worth is derived not just from its minting eras but from its context, its composition, its survival, and the limitless web of speculation and scholarly intrigue that has surrounded it ever since it was unearthed from the forgotten recesses of an old banker's satchel in an Illinois attic during a routine estate cleanout in 2023. And what initially looked like a typical Washington quarter bearing the familiar image of George Washington on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse quickly drew the trained eye of a seasoned collector due to its strange coloration, abnormal thickness, and off-center strike, setting in motion a forensic-level investigation that would uncover a spiraling trail of impossible minting blunders, rare material anomalies, and hidden design inconsistencies so intricate and so implausible that leading experts from the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, the American Numismatic Association, ANA, the Smithsonian Institution, and even former mint engravers were called in to assess and verify what would soon be known as their $287 million quarter, starting with the astonishing realization that the coin had not been struck on a standard copper-nickel clad planchette but instead on a pure nickel planchette intended for a foreign contract with the Government of Canada, a crossover event that should have been impossible due to separate production lines, inventory audits, and metal sourcing practices, indicating that either a massive breach in mint protocols occurred or a deliberate or accidental switch in blanks took place during a high-pressure moment of coining at the Denver Mint. And this pure nickel composition not only alters the coin's weight and electromagnetic signature but also gives it a noticeably different sheen and sound when dropped on a hard surface, creating an immediate distinction for experts trained in the subtleties of coin diagnostics. And as this metal anomaly was confirmed, attention then turned to the design features, where a horrifying and thrilling series of doubling and tripling errors revealed themselves under magnification, including a strong tripling of the date, 1977, with clear separation between each layer of numerals, a doubled profile of Washington that makes him appear almost like a figure in motion or a holographic echo, and deeply impressed doubling in the motto, "In God We Trust," where the misalignment is so stark that it creates the illusion of two entirely separate strike zones within the same design, and it only gets more complex as the reverse side presents a complete die clash, a ghostly mirroring of Washington's face etched in reverse over the eagle's chest, wings, and shield, as though the obverse and reverse dies had been slammed together without a planchette, transferring a portion of their designs onto each other and then continuing to strike regular planches without correction, and this intense die clash is combined with severe die rotation, whereby the obverse and reverse designs are not aligned in their usual orientation but are rotated nearly 180 degrees from each other, resulting in an inverted design when the coin is flipped, a phenomenon that collectors recognize as a dramatic and highly desirable error known as a rotated die strike, and yet still more emerges as their coin's reeded edge is examined and found to be half missing, with reeding present on only about 40% of the circumference and the rest exhibiting a smooth, broad strike finish, indicative of a collar die failure or a misfeeding event where the collar did not fully close around the planchette, allowing it to expand outward and escape the uniform pressure that defines a coin's rim and edge texture. But perhaps the most jaw-dropping anomaly of all is the revelation that this coin contains not one, not two, but three distinct planchette laminations, areas where thin layers of the coin's surface metal have peeled away or never fully bonded during the planchette preparation phase, exposing the underlying metal in jagged, uneven patterns that resemble shattered glass or flake paint, and such lamination errors are rare enough on their own. But to find multiple large-scale laminations on the same coin, in combination with the tripled obverse, die clash, die rotation, off-metal composition, and incomplete reading, elevates this quarter into an astronomical category of error density so concentrated that it is considered virtually impossible under normal operating conditions, and this constellation of errors and anomalies, each of which individually could merit thousands or millions at auction, combined to form a coin that scholars and collectors now describe as a perfect storm of imperfection, a term never before applied to a modern quarter and now enshrined in the lexicon of era coin terminology thanks to the unprecedented discovery of this single, extraordinary piece, and the mystery only deepens as metallurgical testing reveals trace elements inconsistent with U.S. mint sourcing during 1977, including hints of manganese, zinc oxide residue, and titanium, leading to theories that this planchette may have been a hybrid experimental blank reused or recycled from a failed foreign contract or test batch, and further X-ray fluorescence analysis reveals microfissures and striation lines suggesting either intense planchette stress or overpressure during the strike, pointing to a potential minting press malfunction or improper die spacing at the time of strike. And while the mint records for 1977 do not indicate any formal experimental coin programs, anecdotal evidence from retired mint employees has surfaced indicating that the late 1970s were rife with production line expansions, experimental tests, and occasional unrecorded strike errors that were often melted down or discarded, yet somehow this coin escaped that fate, likely plucked from the conveyor belt by accident or smuggled out in a batch of coins designated for circulation. And what makes this tale even more captivating is that no other 1977 quarter with any of these combined anomalies has ever surfaced, reinforcing the belief that this coin is absolutely unique, a true one of one, with provenance confirmed through exhaustive documentation, forensic surface scans, auction house vetting, and international third-party certification. And when it was finally presented to the world at a highly anticipated private auction hosted by an elite European auction house in Geneva, Switzerland, the bidding war was immediate and ferocious, with representatives from 5 continents, including a royal family, a tech billionaire, a sovereign wealth fund, and a secretive hedge fund syndicate, all battling for ownership. And after a relentless 8-hour series of escalating bids, the coin was acquired by a private collector in Singapore for a final price of $287 million, shattering all previous records for era coins and placing this unassuming 1977 quarter at the summit of collectible rarities. And since then, it has become a global icon of accidental perfection, a lightning strike of value, and a shining reminder that the world of coins is not just about money but about history, metallurgy, craftsmanship, era, and the infinite improbability of human machines producing miracles. And today, as rumors swirl that the new owner is constructing a custom-built underground vault and museum to house and display the coin with 24/7 security and biometric access, thousands of coin enthusiasts, amateur collectors, and treasure seekers have turned their attention to their change jars, old coin folders, and forgotten dresser drawers, hoping against hope that another floored masterpiece might be hiding in plain sight, a coin that like this one could transcend value and become a cultural legend. For the 1977 quarter now serves not just as a collector's dream but as a symbol of what is possible when fate, era, and history collide in a single moment of metallic brilliance. And while no one may ever find another like it, its story inspires, excites, and captivates, proving that even in the mass-produced world of modern currency, uniqueness can emerge, greatness can be accidental, and a tiny sliver of American metal can hold within it a treasure that defies time, logic, and price.